lights are off. Flying through the hallway like a disco moth. Pitching to the couch, then I loop through the fan. My tiny whoop's grooving like a funky jam. Dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze. Freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight. Can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remotes a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 75. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. We'll we fly that flow. Grab that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll. Funk and control. Funk and control. Bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that splitter over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze. Freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti, and every single time I live stream, I forget to zoom this goddamn camera in. Welcome to Fresh Gear Friday. We're going to be taking a look at the Meteor65 Pro V2 O4 Light Wide tonight. I'm sure I forgot something in there. I think I forgot Flywoo and DJI. BetaFPV very kindly sent me the AIO and frames and canopies for their new Meteor V2 series, and the pre-built bottom half of this that they sent me was the 75 Pro, which we've been flying quite a bit over the last week or so. We did some bench testing of these new 1102 21,000 kV motors, compared them to the 15, 20 other motors in this sort of class for bigger stuff, through the spreadsheets that you beautiful patrons that send me 10 cents a day, have access to, linked over on the Patreon. I just sent a post out the other night with another link to the main spreadsheet with all that info on it. When I was talking to BetaFPV about them sending it, I said, hey, I'm most interested in the 75, but do you mind sending me one or two of the 65 Pro frames, just so that I can try it out? I knew that it was going to be too heavy for the smaller propellers, but I'm really interested in this frame, actually. This Meteor65 Pro frame makes a lot of sense in that it has the bigger battery bay, so we can put a 1S 450 or 550 or 650. Not that you would. For propellers this small, it's a 450. You're going to run a 450 in here. One of the biggest problems that we had with the previous Meteor65 Pro frame was that it would only fit the narrow batteries, and that locks you into 300 milliamps max. I have done so much testing with that frame and that setup over the years with 802s, 702s, 603s, actually, custom KV 603s that you can't even get, 703s. I'm probably missing another weird, awkward motor size, but yeah, I have tried so hard over the last 2 to 3 years that Meteor65 Pro frame has been around to get it flying good. And either you get enough power, but the runtime sucks, and you get like a minute and 30 seconds. And one of the big problems with that is that it just cooks the batteries. Like if you have a build that's eating batteries in less than 2 minutes, you'll notice the batteries are really hot when they come off of there. And then you'll notice after you've cycled those batteries 10 or 20 times that they're shot. You can't, like, 2 minutes is such a great number. If you can get more than 2 minutes, then the batteries are going to last. They're going to have a somewhat decent lifespan. If you're under 2 minutes, they're not. You're going to get 10, 20, 30 cycles out of those batteries before they really start to fall off a cliff and perform like shit. And, like, who wants that, right? And so, yeah, we would either have a set of motors on the old Meteor65 Pro with the 300 mAh batteries where you had enough power but the runtime was too short, or if you got yourself over 2 minutes of runtime, the flight performance sucked. You had a drivetrain that didn't make enough power, and it was like flying a brushed rig. And so I absolutely love that the new 65 Pro frame has the wider battery bay, so that we can run a 400. And now for the really dialed in of you, you might be saying like, oh, what about the big ass 465 mAh weBLEED battery? Yeah, okay. Crash with this battery. Go ahead. Put this battery in there and then crash. You're going to bend the battery in half, or you're going to rip your battery leads off of the AIO. This is a long-range battery. That's all you can do with this. You cannot crash with this battery. I love that this exists. weBLEED, as always, are the best for making these 465 jousting batteries, as I like to call them. But it's not a realistic battery to run for anything other than long range. And, like, who's doing long range with a tiny whoop? Why? Isn't that short range? Because it's a tiny whoop, it can only go like 4 miles an hour? Although we disproved that with the anemometer. The damn things blow 40 miles an hour of wind, so they can certainly go more than 4 miles an hour. But, like, you all know what I'm saying. So, yeah. Love that this frame exists. I was pretty sure, though, that this wouldn't perform all that well. Because I've done so much testing with the digital platforms, adding 8+ grams of O4 camera and air unit. Now we're talking like 9 or 10 grams with the O4 wide. The lens is much heavier. The frame of the camera is much heavier. And then we've got this big old canopy that's adding a little bit extra weight as well. I just knew from trying to make O4 light narrow setups work inside the house. I knew that this would not work inside the house, but I was really curious about the wide angle side of things. Previously, when we've gone way down the rabbit hole trying to get O4 light narrow stuff to work inside the house, the two main problems were, the three main problems were weight. It just adds a lot of weight, and weight is not what you want inside the house. It's already hard to fly inside the house. Bolting on 8+ grams of dead weight, it just makes it so much more difficult. So weight, latency, nothing much we can do about that. Yeah, okay, race mode helps a little bit, but it locks you into like 100 frames a second on the DVR side of things. Latency on HD systems is always going to be significantly more than analog and HD0, and I find it to be too much for flying inside because things happen really, really, really fast when you're flying inside. Could you get used to it? A little bit, but still, like, the latency is always going to be there. And again, like, when you're bouncing from the right side of your hallway to the left side of your hallway, that latency makes it way more difficult. And again, flying inside the house is already difficult enough. And so weight, latency, and then the third one was the field of view. Inside the house, again, you need all the advantages that you possibly can. Also, you need to... One of the things that makes flying around the house easier is that you're in an enclosed space with walls alongside of you, a ceiling above you, and a floor down below you that usually you can see. And when you can see those things, you can reference off of them. Am I too high? Am I too low? Am I to the left? Am I to the right? And so having those things that you can see, right, versus like flying outside. You go to a park and you fly around in a park, you've got like a row of trees all the way out in front of you, but you got nothing really below you unless you drop really low. You got jack shit above you. The clouds don't help you, right? And sometimes you don't have anything left and right either. You're just charging across a field. And so it's hard to tell like where you are in three-dimensional space when you don't have stuff to reference off of. With the O4 Light Narrow, the narrow field of view cuts down on those things that you have to reference off of. And so I was really curious if the wide-angle O4 would, even though it's a little bit heavier, actually be easier to fly inside the house. I don't think it is. I have flight footage. I built the old O4 light narrow setup, the best performing indoor O4 light narrow setup from way back when. I rebuilt this just for the purposes of this testing, and I've flown both of these around the house today. I also flew this one around outside, and as a point of comparison, I flew one of my favorite 2S whoops that I fly outside a lot as well. So we've got a full kind of complement of flight footage to show you exactly the difference between these. And also, like, frankly, I just had to do that for myself in order to, you know, because, like, I flew this a week ago, but I can't necessarily remember exactly what it was. It's super helpful for me to fly all this shit back to back to back to back. So, yeah, today's been a busy day. I absolutely love the Meteor65 Pro V2 DJI O4 Light Wide. This frame, these motors, these propellers, brilliant. Mind-blowing, to be completely honest. I can't believe how much performance there is to be had out of 1S on this. Fair warning, this pushes 1S to its absolute limits. Like, you're only going to get a little over 2 minutes of runtime with this setup if you're flying it even remotely aggressively. But that's a good thing. Like, I absolutely love that they've done this, and if you have a bunch of 1S 450 mAh batteries floating around, amazing. This is a beautiful way to run those batteries into the dirt. I hope to hell that BetaFPV makes a frame that'll work with this really nice canopy. I'm also really impressed with this canopy. But I hope to hell that they make a frame that works with this canopy that'll take a 2S battery. This canopy requires a very specific setup for mounting. It's these little horseshoe-shaped bastards on all four corners. That is the only way that this canopy mounts, and this canopy is great. It's really lightweight for what it is. It protects this camera really well. It's got adjustable up tilt. It pushes the camera forward just enough where you have barely any duct in view, even at the lowest up tilt. This canopy is great, and there is a way to get this canopy to not eject off. You just have to put the rubber grommets in, and then you squeeze a little bit of E6000 in the slots here. You got to do it with the canopy off, because the front and rear mounting points, the opening is on the inside. So like once you have this canopy mounted, you can't get there to put the E6000 in. So if you are to get this, you got to take the canopy off, E6000, E6000, and then inside and inside, let that shit cure overnight, and then you're going to put the canopy into the frame. You're going to put the rubber grommets into the little horseshoe guys that I showed you, and then you're going to do E6000 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a little blob of E6000 on there keeps those grommets from popping out. And I've crashed this thing quite a bit. I haven't like absolutely hammered it, because this is not a setup that you should be absolutely hammering. This is not a bando bashing setup. This is a super soft mounted setup that's going to give you basically like the most cinematic sort of footage you can get from this little camera in such a small package. And it does a fantastic job. You're going to crash. We all crash. You should be crashing. But like within reason. Like I'm not going to take this to Castle Crash and hammer it around the whoop house at full throttle all over the place. I'm going to fly it like a little Cinewhoop around the whoop house, and I might do like a couple power loops or maybe a Matty flip or two, but I'm not going to go drilling this thing, 20 batteries in a row as hard as I can possibly fly it. That is not what this is for. If you do that, you will absolutely either break the camera or break the VTX. The O4 Lite is a miracle, but it is not durable. I wouldn't expect it to be durable. It's not fragile either. It's like somewhere in between. It's more durable than the Walk Snail Lite, which is amazing, but you can absolutely break the O4 Lite, wide or narrow, doesn't matter, with a bunch of really hard crashes in a row. And so just be aware of that. It's completely unrealistic to expect kind of anyone to make an HD system that is as durable as like the analog stuff that we've been flying for 15 years, or the you know what I mean? Like, and not to mention that, like, we're talking really fancy camera systems that are recording in 4K at mega frame rates. Like, yeah, okay, GoPro managed to make the Session 5 damn near indestructible, but like, has any action cam come even remotely close to that? Maybe that new Osmo, that new lightweight little one, but I don't think it's been out long enough to really say that. And we grenade HD GoPros and DJI actions and all that shit all over the place. So it is, yeah, like, just because we can build this camera and VTX inside of these things does not mean that it's going to be durable. Like, there are just too many chips on here, and we crash too hard. Like, just straight up, we go banging into like metal poles and concrete at 70, 80 miles an hour. Like, it's a miracle that anything survives, right? And so get that out of your head. Get any like durability with any HD systems out of your head. If you want durability, it's going to be analog, period. So yeah, don't ask for too much for stuff, and don't bando bash this. It will not survive. If you want to bando bash O4, I think your best bet is going to be this canopy from HappyModel. It is molded. It is tough as nails. you will still absolutely break an O4 light. I've broken one with this canopy setup. It was on a hell of a crash. But yeah, it cannot be a soft mounted canopy if you're going to go bando bashing. You're going to rip the grommets out. You're going to rip the camera out. It's just, that's not what it's for. Right tool for the right job, friends. Cool. So yeah, put a bunch of batteries through this today. First things first, let's weigh a couple of these before I forget to, because I have a tendency to forget to weigh stuff. So we're going to start at the lightest possible option, which is O4 light, same exact AIO, the 1S BetaFPV AIO with the 3 amp power supply for the O4. Cockroach 65 V3 frame, weBLEED 0702 40,000 kV motors, HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers, the first generation Modula 7 04 canopy, the molded one with no adjustable up tilt, no bayonet mount for an ND filter, O.R.T micro V antenna. Dry weight is 25.5. Add a battery into the mix, and we are at 33.7. Call it 34 grams. So 34 grams is the lightest you're going to move an O4 light narrow around. It's going to be durable like this. Could you build this another gram lighter? Absolutely. Would it make the durability way worse? Absolutely. And like at the weight that this thing is at, 1 gram don't matter. So realistically, this is what you would build if you wanted to fly the O4 light around inside the house with some semblance of durability, as light as possible, nice thick ducts to slow it down. What'd I say, 34 grams? Yeah, 34 grams, 33.7. This is the next step up. Like, we're gaining a bunch of weight from the O4 light, wide rather. The canopy is a little bit heavier. The frame is heavier. The motors have to be heavier. 702s are not going to cover this weight of a build. And so with this fella, we are now all the way up. Ooh, that hurts. Wow, I didn't think it would gain that much weight. 47.4 grams. We'll call it 47 grams to be kind to it. Meteor65 Pro V2 frame. The lightest 802s. These are the HappyModel RS 0802s that have been hand wound by Cloudhopper to 33,000 kV. These are the HQ 1.4 inch tri-blades. These are, I believe, the only 1.4 inch tri-blades that are a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, which is really important with something that's this heavy. Otherwise, you're just going to bend motor shafts all over the place. These props are the U 1.4 by 1.1 by 3. Great propeller. We're running this off of the... hold on, I gotta change something here. I transposed 2 numbers. 340, not 430. There we go. The same AIO, the BetaFPV Cross with the 3 amp power supply, 5 volt power supply, BT 2.0. And yeah, like this is the battery that you're gonna run with it. This is the Lava V2 480. On that first rig, I weighed it with the 340 mAh weBLEED battery. So yeah, a lot heavier, from 34 grams up to 47. Like, that's crazy. That is a crazy weight gain, but there's no other way. Like, these big ass propellers are a mess on 0702s. I've done it. It's just the response time is like real bad. This thing is already pretty heavy, which hurts the response time, and like I'm not happy with the response time with this as it is. That's one thing you're absolutely going to see in the flight footage, is the difference in response time between these two things is wild. Again, 0702 40,000s, a motor that we know, but heavy. And then 802 33,000s. The tree toppers do make a little bit more power than these motors here, but it's not that much. It's in the spreadsheet. Where are the tree toppers at? Here are the tree toppers. So these motors here, 802 33,000s, did on a 1610 propeller. I just gotta reference this sheet real quick. On a 1610 propeller, these motors that are on here did 46,700 kV. In the air, flying full throttle. The tree toppers did 50,000, right on the nose. So 46,700, call it 47,000 to 50,000. That's the extra performance that we could get if I still had a set of tree toppers, which I don't. I sold them on a build not too long ago. Would you be able to tell that difference? Probably, but it would certainly not be night and day. The GepRC 1002 25,000s, they would add even more weight, which is not what we want. And on that same propeller, they did 56,000 kV. Now, that is a bigger propeller. That is a 1.6 inch propeller, but it's a bi-blade. These are 1.4 inch tri-blades, so it's probably fairly similar. And so I'm really tempted to try those GepRC motors, but this is already too heavy. You're going to really see the weight of this thing in the flight footage. Like, you turn and it just, like, it's heavy. It's too heavy to be flying around inside as far as I'm concerned. And one of the things I'm really struggling with, which I'm probably going to bang on about the entire live stream, is I don't know what this is for. Like, the only thing I can think of is if you need the absolute smallest and lightest possible Cinewhoop and you have to have the wide angle. If it were me and I wanted the lightest possible Cinewhoop, I would do it with the O4 narrow, because, like, as a Cinewhoop, you don't necessarily need that wide field of view. Like, the more narrow field of view is fine. Cinewhoops are for, like, cinematic footage, thus the name. And, like, the O4 narrow is very linear. And for cinematic stuff, that's kind of what you want. You don't want that crazy wide angle fisheye thing usually. But if there's a reason that you absolutely need that wide angle, then yeah, okay, this is as light as it's going to be. This is, I mean, I guess you could 3D print some sort of a canopy for the O4 light wide, but you're not going to get the soft mounting. You're not going to be able to use Rocksteady. And it's not going to be that much lighter, I don't think. Because, again, this is a big glass lens. The O4 Narrow has a really lightweight plastic lens and camera housing. So, yeah, we could get a little bit more performance out of this for sure. But I'm not really willing to spend $50 on another set of tree toppers just to then be a little bit less disappointed. And so, yeah, and I just don't know. I want to really like this, but I just kind of can't figure it out. And like I said, I kind of knew that was going to be the case. I want to like it because I like this so much on the Meteor65 Pro setup. But it makes a lot of sense on this setup because you can fly it outside and it actually covers ground pretty well. You fly it outside on the smaller propellers, and as always, it doesn't cover any ground. It doesn't make any sense. These tiny little 1.2 inch, 1.4 inch propellers only make sense inside the house. Flying these outside of the house is just like, look at me, look how small of a build I can fly outside. Look at the flight footage. Wait, no, don't. It looks terrible. It goes really slow and eats batteries. What's the point? 1.2 inch props, 1.4 inch props are indoor propellers for indoor flying where you have small spaces, and the fact that it's going slow doesn't make a difference. And the fact that it's not efficient at all because the smaller a propeller is, the less efficient it is, doesn't matter as much because you're sitting at your desk, and so you land on your desk and swap the battery out real quick. Flying outside, something that eats through a battery in 2 minutes, like, that's a great way to lose the rig because you're 2 blocks away or something like that, and the battery starts to get low. You can't get it back. It crashes in the road and gets run over. So yeah, it's tough. The third rig that I want to weigh is the 1.6 inch propeller 2S O4 narrow setup. Dry weight, well, no, it has a battery in it. 50.3 grams. That's a problem. A 1.6 inch propellered 2S rig that gets almost 4 minutes of runtime is only 50.2 grams. This guy is 47.5 grams. That's a problem. And wait till you see the flight footage of this thing flying outside versus this. It's rough. And so, yeah, I knew that this was not going to be the one. And it isn't. There is like one very specific usage for this, I think. And I don't know who's going to really need that. If I was going to do that, I would go with something almost 10 grams lighter. Take the super linear camera, narrow field of view. Look, you're going really slow anyway. You don't, like, one of the things that I will absolutely admit that the O4 wide has made me realize is that when you're flying really hard and like really dynamic, the dynamic meaning like you go slow, then you go really fast. The wide angle absolutely helps. It feels more natural. When you're rotating, when you're yawing, everything doesn't like whiz by as quick. It's way more comfortable to fly hard and fast with wide angle. Narrow angle, if you're flying slow, is totally fine. Like, things aren't whizzing by you. You're not gonna fly this like super hard freestyle, so you're not whipping a bunch of yaw where like the whole world is whizzing by and you can't kind of see what's going on. And so, like, if you're gonna fly slow Cinewoopy indoors, just do it with the narrow, right? Unless you absolutely can't. Some people are just like, I cannot fly through this. I think that a lot of those people are seeing the overly dramatic YouTubers saying that and just like letting that be their reality. I think if you put 20 batteries through an O4 narrow, you will absolutely get used to it. And there's a lot of advantages, right? It's lighter, smaller, super linear camera, but you do you. If you absolutely cannot fly and you're desperate, you cannot fly the narrow and you're desperate to fly slow cinematic inside the house, this will get the job done. I don't know if it's any better than this, though. I flew this thing inside the house, and the problem I had is that it was like kind of overpowered. You just put a motor limit on, and that fixes that issue up. Is this a little bit heavier? Yeah, absolutely, but it's bigger as well. The bigger surface area is going to slow it down a little bit. And so, like, I think the 75 Pro would be my choice for even flying inside. You're going to get way better runtime with this as well. Because the props are so much bigger, 1.8 versus 1.4. And so, yeah, I'm really struggling to see and figure out who would buy this over the 75 Pro setup. Which, you know what? That's a good thing. Because if you want to buy the Meteor the Meteor V2 wide, you buy this one. You buy the 75 Pro, no questions asked. And that's nice, where it's like, yes, definitely buy this one. Everyone definitely buy this one. But let's dive into this and start taking a look. In the chat, CiottiFPV was first, Skittybots was next, Level Up, Mr. Clean, Sporny, Matthew Wegner, Sear, Drublick Mike's in the house, Frank Dr. Nicholas, B. Kirk, Hey Ryan, Fizz, Arthritic, Doodlefish. I'm going to stop there. Type at CiottiFPV to talk to me, and I'll say your name. Drublick Mike says, flying the Leadville mountain bike race next weekend. I'll need to channel my inner Ciotti. Very cool, dude. How are you getting those gigs? Who are you talking to get those gigs? B Kirk says, do you have all the components for your RC drift car chaser in Discord? Probably not, but it's a super simple build. Like the flight controller, motors, props, canopy, any other things you need, like the frame. I think I know. Just making sure. Yeah, I don't think I have it up anywhere, but it's a super simple build. You know, we only have the one AIO option, right? And so the BetaFPV cross style AIO with the 3 amp 5 volt Beck, that's a no-brainer. The frame, you have to run the Cockroach V3 frame because you need these little hooks for the camera mount. The camera mount is available either on my Etsy store or in the 3D printing Discord channel. If you scroll back far enough, you'll find it. It's the Batwing. Just search for the Batwing mount. You'll find it in there. Motors are dealer's choice. I personally like the HappyModel. I'm sorry, the weBLEED rather 0702 32,500 kV. It's also good on the 40,000s. It flies better, but you take a hit in runtime, and the runtime is already pretty rough. And then batteries don't really matter, right? They're all pretty similar. That's it. That's the whole build. You are going to need longer screws. You're going to need M1.2 by either 12 or 14 screws. Those are on my Etsy store as well. And then an antenna, but it doesn't really matter because it's 04. Yeah, that's the whole build. Propellers. Yeah, it's your choice as well. I personally like the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. But yeah, whatever props you're most comfortable with. And that's it. That's the full build. I actually flew that rig yesterday. I went to, yesterday was 8/6 day, 8th month of the year, 6th day. And the Toyota Corolla, the chassis code is, for the old one was AE86. And so that the late 80s, early 90s Toyota Corollas, which were lightweight 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive, live rear axle, little rocket ship. Not really a rocket ship, wasn't very fast, but very fun to drive because rear-wheel drive manual. Has a super cult following, and so they had a little 8/6 day celebration at the RC drift car place that I went to, and chased not a single 86 chassis car. It was all Sylvia's, but that's fine. I had a blast. Uriel says long range in the elderly house is really fun. Fair enough. David Ciotti says that's a person. I thought my dad was having a stroke. He typed all these letters that don't make any sense. Vedat Sinar says, I would like to get a patch crosshair antenna. I have a True RC Singularity Omni. What would you suggest? For patch antennas, the True RC has the, I forget what they're called, but True RC has a line of patch antennas that are awesome. There's also a company called Menace RC. They make some good patch antennas as well. They're all pretty similar. Pick the one, I'm not even kidding, pick the one that's the color that you like the best. The True RC patch antennas, I believe, are white. The Menace RC patch antennas, they have a purple one. They have a black one. They might even have a gray one. Patch antennas are all super similar. Unless you're doing hardcore long range stuff, it's not going to matter. Just having any patch antenna is going to be awesome because it's going to give you a really nice beam right out the front, which will outperform the Omni. So yeah, just pick the patch antenna from either True RC or Menace that's the color that you like, and it'll perform awesome. If you're doing hardcore long range stuff, you shouldn't be asking me that question. You should be in like Long Range Hooligans, the Facebook group, or just another live streamer, not live streamer, but another content creator that actually does long range stuff. So yeah. Hey Ryan says 2S Air 75 frame would be so slick. I agree. My dad wants to do something really cool. The Monday after our giveaways, which is this coming Monday, He wants to do matching Monday, where any super chats you guys do, he will match those super chats. And so I'm going to try to remember it again this Sunday to mention it. This coming Monday is going to be matching Monday, second Monday of every month. Come on through and let's make some bad decisions together. Lebster says, hey everyone. Jublick Mike says, the riders trying to get a gig with Lifetime, the company that runs Leadville, would be tough, so I'm flying for a particular rider. Got it. Very cool. Ryan Sadat says, ended up choosing 65 Pro to take on a trip because of how tiny pocketable it is. Okay. Lost some power / response time switching to the tree toppers, but now it's more durable and I like how it flies. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, if you're only going to bring one setup, it is a little bit smaller for sure. I really hope that they come up with a 2S, they do a 2S 75 frame, because this is not, this is a difference. There's a difference here for sure. This is not enough of a difference, and the potential is wild for 2S. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that this is one of my favorite quads of all time. It is exactly small enough. The power to weight ratio is ridiculous. HD on board. Like, this is so goddamn good. This is what I bring if I can only bring one. This is it. And a bunch of these 2S 300s, unbelievable. It can do it all. Push against wind. My main worry with something like this, like bringing it with me on a trip, would be that it's so underpowered and the response time is so rough that like anything more than like maybe 5-10 miles an hour of wind, and it's just going to be all over the damn place. This thing in the wind, it's an absolute animal. You'll see why in a minute. Dan and FPV with a 420 pound super chat. He says, sending positive vibes and going to sleep. Thank you so much, dude, for sending the weed number of dollars. Here we go. We're diving into flight footage, my friends. So the first thing that I did with this was fly it inside the house, because that's the only real scenario that I think makes sense for this. And away we go. That's the wrong monitor. And so I'm going to give you the goggle footage because I want you to be able to see the all the OSD stuff. And so let me make this as big as I can without losing the OSD. Oh, this is one of the motors was spinning the wrong way. So let me just shove this over. And so this is on, so that's me saying this is 50 frames a second. 50 frames a second versus 4K 50 frames a second is a little bit lower latency than 60 frames a second. You can go one more step up by going to 1080, 100, which you can also do with race mode, but I don't want this in 1080. I don't want it in 100 frames per second. If we're going to do this, if we're going to drag around these big, heavy 4K cameras, I want to record in 4K. If you don't, that's okay. I didn't realize how dark it was up here. As always, it was way brighter in the goggles. I don't understand why that is, but yeah, this is pretty dark. Let me fix that real quick. So we're going to go to filters, and there you go. All right, so that's more like what it looked like in the goggles. Right. And so this is me trying as hard as I can. Like, I'm trying to do cool shit around the house. You guys know how I fly analog around the house. This is hard to fly. It's really heavy. The response time is not great. The power is like acceptable, but it's not great. And the latency, like when you see me wobbling around, that's the latency. Like, it's just, and like the latency is made worse by the response time being bad. I'm sure that the BetaFPV 802s, the really high KV 802s would make just as much, if not more, power than these. but they have a 1mm motor shaft, and so you're gonna bend motor shafts after like every second or third crash. It's just completely unacceptable. And so like the only motors that make any sense on these are the motors with a 1.5mm motor shaft, and there just aren't many of them. You know, the GEP-RC 1002 25,000s are how we're gonna get the most power out of this, but they're gonna be they're gonna be too heavy. The tree toppers are going to be a little bit better, but not enough. We're talking about 47,000 versus 50,000 RPM on a 1610 propeller. That's not enough of a difference to make this all of a sudden like, oh, it's great. Like, that would make it less bad. But that's, you know, you don't want your rigs to be less bad. You want them to be good. And there just isn't a motor that's going to do that. Also, like, the runtime isn't even all that great. Like, I'm only getting like 2 minutes of runtime out of this thing because it's heavy and because it's on a small prop. And so it's just, you got to hammer the shit out of it the whole time because the propeller is so small and because the thing is like 47 point something grams. And so this is just it. When you come right back to it, it's the same conclusion that I came to when the O4 first came out early last year. It's so heavy that anything smaller than a 1.6 inch prop and anything less than 2S doesn't really work. I'm completely blown away by how good of a job BetaFPV has done with this 1.8 inch prop 75 Pro setup on 1S. And I'll absolutely eat my words that this is flyable and this is really good for what it is. But you put this up against a 2S, 1.6 inch or 1.8 inch or 2 inch prop setup, and it blows it away. It gets way more power, way more runtime. We don't have a frame that'll take 2S, so we can't test this brilliant camera and canopy out on a 2S setup. But it would be better, period. Like, 2S at this power level, it's just better. This is pushing 1S to its absolute limits. 2S is like barely breaking a sweat at this same all-up weight and power level that we're asking for, and you can get way more power out of 2S as well. So yeah, it's cool what they've done here, but it's yeah, we're at the absolute limit. I'm kind of blown away that I'm getting the same, if not worse, runtime, 2 minutes and 20 seconds pushing that one. This battery it's recovering a little bit, but it's all the way down at 3.63. Yeah, I thought we would get more runtime out of this, but unfortunately not. I thought we would get more runtime because it's like, you know, we're just flying around the house. We're not outside charging up and down the street. But yeah, small props are way less efficient. So I believe this is... So where are we at here? I believe this is the last battery. This should be the last battery on this Meteor65 Pro V2 DJI Flywoo 04 light wide setup. Ryan Sadat says, choose to run the 65 Pro with O through O4 narrow to save a few grams. It definitely feels much better. And since it's kind of slow and I'm flying mostly outdoors, the field of view is fine. Okay, interesting. So Ryan is using this frame with this lighter weight O4 narrow and smaller canopy setup, which is a great idea. I am very interested in this 65 Pro frame as a frame to hold the bigger batteries and put an analog setup in it or like whatever. I don't think it makes any sense to put this canopy on it. But yeah, I love that we have another 1.4 inch prop frame and now one that holds the bigger batteries. That makes so much sense. But this right here, this ain't it. And like, look, I can do some stuff, but it's so hard. Like I'm trying so hard here, and I'm still like crashing it all over the place. See that like big double correction? Like that's the latency, that's the weight, that's the lack of response time, that's the lack of power. Like, you know, yes, I crash a lot, but I don't crash doing the stupid little stuff that I'm doing here, right? Like I don't crash just trying to take off and get up over the couch. I crash when I'm trying to fire it 30 feet across the room through the hanging gate and then through the cube. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is tough. Can you do some stuff inside with it? Absolutely. I'm doing as good as I possibly can. I'm a half decent pilot. You can do some stuff with this thing, but it's really difficult. Really, really like overly difficult. You're gonna have to really get good to be able to do the kind of stuff that you should be doing inside the house. Because you can do power flips, you can do Matty flips, you can do wall rides, you can do all that stuff inside the house. You got to work, and you got to fly something that's light with good response time, but it's totally doable. 2 minutes and 57 seconds is inflated because it was on the ground idling for a while at the beginning of this battery. Now we have moved to the 9-gram lighter. This is Cockroach V3 frame, weBLEED 0702 40,000s, HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers, first generation Mobula 704 canopy, which has a little bit too much up tilt, admittedly. O.R.T micro V, same BetaFPV AAO. If you're gonna fly inside, this is the move. And so the problem here is much less field of view, and that does make it more difficult. So this little crash right here. All right, at this point, the narrow field of view, everything is whizzing by in front of me, and I can't quite like pick something out to reference off of to make a correction. And so what happens is I just go kind of bouncing around. And that's, so I over rotate on this. So that's an over rotation. And now I just, again, I don't have a solid thing to reference off. And so now I'm going to swing back the other way. Now I bumped the thing, and that swings me back the other way. The long and short of it is that it is harder to recover with the O4 narrow. And that's what makes it hard to fly inside the house. But this setup is so much lighter that we've got way better response time. Can you see how snappy it is? Like it just, everything happens so much quicker, and that helps flying inside. Response time is really important when you're flying inside the house because everything is happening so fast. And so the narrower field of view absolutely is more difficult. Watch how snappy this is. Look at that. See that? It just stops. That's the response time. This thing flies good. It's just that the field of view is a little bit difficult inside the house. And this thing eats batteries. You're going to see the runtime is pretty shit. It's not really that much worse though. We're going from a 480 mAh battery now to a 340 or 300 mAh battery here, but it's so much lighter. Like look at all those, you know, like every time you can see me bang the sticks, it really attacks. There you can really tell there's too much up tilt. See how low in the mirror the thing is sitting? The only problem with this canopy is that there's a bunch of up tilt. It's fine for flying outside, but inside the house I like 10 degrees, maybe 15 degrees up tilt max. But yeah, this was, again, right, like just silly crashes that I don't usually make is what happens with these HD rigs inside. Like when you try to fly fast like this, the latency is really tough. In this case, the narrow field of view is tough. In the V2's case, the extra weight is tough. It is, it's interesting the difference between these two. I think that this is a better bet, the super lightweight rig, but neither one of them really work. Like, and so I don't know. I really can't recommend that anybody fly one of these O4 builds inside the house unless you want it to be an itty bitty little Cinewoop and you want to fly like really smooth lines around in the house. For that, yeah, sure. I guess it works, but like, how many times are you gonna Cinewoop your own house? Like, Cinewooping is fun when you fly a different location every single time, and when you're getting paid. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, if you want a Cinewoop inside the house, which would I rather have? Yeah, here's what I forgot that the white balance was on auto. I wanted to set it to the same white balance as the other one. I usually lock the white balance at 5500, which is daylight, and then if you need to change it in post, you can. Versus if you have your white balance on auto, it's going to move around. And so when you go to change it in post, every time it automatically adjusts, you're going to have to adjust it. And then it's going to automatically adjust again. You're going to have to change again. You're going to have to change it again. When you just lock your white balance in, you make one correction in post and you're done. I think the smaller rig, to be really honest, is how I would go. I will say this, though. It is awful easy to pull the center section of a tiny whoop out of one frame and drop it into another frame. And so I kind of maybe think the Meteor V2 as a 75 and then just try to fly this inside the house. I think it's going to be just as good as on the 65 Pro frame. If you really want to go down this route, you just buy this frame and another set of motors and another set of props and drop it in. You pick the electronics package out of one, drop it in the other, plug the motors in, go. So yeah, that's a pretty cool sort of option. You can't really do that with 1S. And now this is the 65 Pro outside. Just immediately crashing it into the tomato plant and falling inside the cage. I couldn't believe I got out of this cage. And now this is absolute struggle bus. This 65 Pro V2 outside is no good. I spent a bunch of time in the front of the house in the plants. I think either at the end of this battery or maybe in the next battery. But like, this was tough. It just doesn't have enough power. It does not have enough power to confidently move around outside. There were even moments where it was like struggling to turtle mode itself back over. Like this, no. The 75 Pro V2 out here was a blast. This was not. This was like, does it fly? Yeah, sure. But it's even slower, and the 75 Pro is already kind of slow. The 2S setups are much, much, much faster, and they carry more speed, and they have more throw. But yeah, this was just super rough. Like, look at that. Look how early I go full throttle in this recovery. So hit full throttle, full. Like, it's wobbling around. Like, could I tune that out a little bit? Maybe. I think the biggest problem here is that there's not a great set of motors for this. There's not like the perfect set of motors for a 1.4 inch prop. That's a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft that's actually not going to blow up. Whereas on the 75 Pro V2, these motors are brilliant. These 1102 21,000s are some of the best tiny whoop motors ever made. There is not that option for the 65 Pro V2. If someone were to make a really high KV 802 with a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, then yeah, maybe it would kind of get there, but I don't know if anybody's going to do that, to be super honest. This is me being completely dumb. But like, yeah, look at that recovery. Like the recovery, and it's just in prop watch the whole time, just like not being able to control itself. 2 minutes and 35. Yeah, I mean, 50. It was turning 50,000 RPM, which is actually good RPM. Like these motors are making a lot of RPM, pretty impressive. But yeah, not enough, nowhere near enough. And so now this is the second battery that I put through it outside. Like, see that? Like this is such a perfect example. We have some momentum. We do a throw. It stops. It's just completely stopped. Like, and then that, like, it can't even keep itself from hitting the ground. Like, you know, I've flown hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of batteries up here. The timing of what I'm doing is like locked in. And so when you see stuff hitting the ground like that, that's a surefire sign that it just doesn't have enough power. This right here, though, this it did well. This is what it does well. Very slow speed. It's got the wide angle, so it's comfortable to fly. It looks really good. It's got a more sense of speed than the narrow angle. But like even stuff like that, like when I do that move, when I do this movement here, usually the tiny whoop is all the way out in the street. It throws itself through all the branches, and then I come back right side up, almost in the street, and it didn't even get to the sidewalk. Like it's just, there's a huge lack of power from this. And these propellers are really good. It's a tri-blade, lightweight, really well balanced prop. It's just, there's not the perfect motor for this. And if we're gonna drag all of this extra weight around on 1S, it has to be the perfect motor. That's why the 75 V2 actually performs decent, because it's on a phenomenal motor. Until we get a phenomenal motor for this 65 V2 to carry all this extra weight, it's not gonna fly well kind of like anywhere. If you're gonna fly really slowly in a really tight area like this, it doesn't have to fly all that great. This is not a very challenging flying area, right? Like cinewhooping inside your house, like that's not you can do that with a brushed rig. That's not a challenging flying setup. And so like something that doesn't fly all that good will work okay in that scenario. I'm always so nervous to actually disarm on top of the trucks, because if it doesn't rearm, they drive away with your shit. Another perfect example here. Look at how excruciatingly slow this thing is. Like I'm putting the nose down and I'm almost burying the horizon line at the top of the screen, right? And it's just like crawling across the yard. That's small props for you. Like small propellers are not for flying outside. They're not for covering ground. They're way inefficient, and they don't cover ground. This is why we fly bigger propellers outside, right? Now you're gonna see proper outside flying. Yeah, okay. So notice the response time, right? Notice how snappy everything is. And now, so this is only a couple of grams heavier, but we are now living the 2S life. And now watch this. I think I do it right here. Nope, hold on. And so now this is the Module 7 V3 frame, which has really tall ducts on it. So this thing is not super fast, but it's way more competent. But watch this coming up. I mean, that's pretty cool there, but I think it's here. Ready? Oh, don't. Here we go. Ready? Ready, ready, ready? Hey! That's 2S, my friends. Like, that's it. Even the Meteor65 Pro V2 won't do that. Like, that's the magic of 2S 1.6-inch prop. Like, it's just, at full throttle, this thing just it's so much fun. So much fun. And it can still do this stuff. Because of how tall the ducts are, you can still duck in here to this really tight flying area and shred. It doesn't shred quite as well. I will absolutely admit that because of how much power this 2S rig has, it is a little bit more difficult to fly in those really tight spots. If I was going to fly a whole battery in those tight spots, though, all I got to do is motor limit down. That gives me the throttle resolution that I need. This thing right now is set up to throw itself up over the house 100 feet in the air and then dive down and like catch itself off the ground with just a quick throttle blip. This is 2S, man. Couple of extra grams of all up weight and like what feels like double the power. This is me taking a look at the throttle midpoint. The throttle midpoint was a little bit too low. I had to move it up. I would probably benefit from taking a little bit of power out of this to get the hover point up a little bit, but it's really fun. 18,000 kV motors on 2S. It's just, you go full throttle on this thing and you're like, okay, that's not like a tiny whoop. It's really, really fun. This rig is on BetaFPV 1102 18,000 kV motors, but you can run any of the 1002 18,000s and it's just as good. And then the batteries are BT 3.0, Tiny Whoop, 2S, 300 mAh. And so, yeah, this is the problem right here. This is the problem. This is so good that, like, the 75 Pro V2 is good. This is so good. And then the 65 V2 is, I don't think I can call it good. I'm not going to call it bad. Maybe I should. But it's not good. It's not good. This is that 2S crack cocaine right here. And look at the runtime. We're at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Railing it up and down the street, throwing it up over the house, right? Like pushing it hard, and it's still getting over 3 minutes of runtime versus over 2 minutes of runtime on the smaller stuff. One more 2S battery just to drive the point home of how absolutely utter magic it is. And dude, look, if BetaFPV makes a 75mm motor-to-motor 1.6-inch prop 2S frame with these holes for the motor mounts, I would absolutely love to put this canopy on that and rail it just like this. It would only be maybe like 2 grams heavier than this setup, and 2S has so much power that it wouldn't give a shit about that. And so please, BetaFPV, please, please, please make us a 2S frame, because this is what we want. Wait, no, it's here. This is the flight performance that we want. You would start breaking cameras with this. You know, like the rubber grommets, you would have to run into issues with them ripping out, because like when you get this kind of flight performance, you start to fly really hard. And I think one of the reasons why I haven't broken more than one 04 light narrow is because this solidly mounted molded canopy from HappyModel is really, really strong. And so, in fairness, yeah, okay. But, like, we just, you know, just dial it down a notch. This is the power that we want. This is the response time that we want. This is the flight performance that we want. And to get it from HD systems, which are 8 to 10 extra grams, we need this kind of power. The 75 Pro V2 comes close to this. Amazingly close to this. But the runtime ain't great. And the response time is not close to this. The raw power is pretty damn good. That's what that move usually does. It throws me through the branches and I catch it out by the street. This is incredible for what it is. But a 0.2 of an inch smaller prop with a 2S battery is going to do everything better. It's going to get better runtime, better power. Love that this exists. Love that they did this. Because a lot of us have 450 mAh batteries just sitting around. And so, use them. But what we really need is 2S. Which, you know, we went through that learning curve for many, many, many months last year. Yeah, 1S is closer than it's ever... Look at that, yo! Look at the throw. Look at the upwards momentum that I still have on a tiny little throttle blip. Ready? Blip! Done. That's like it does like an eighth of a second throttle blip, and it's still, even after flipping it around with my low ass rates, it's still traveling upwards and then coming back down. 2S is the way. 1S is for super lightweight indoor analog rigs, and that's it. Let's come on, Beta. You've got the BT 3.0 leads. Ooh, BetaFPV, while you're at it, make the rear of the frame similar to the Module 7 V3 frame, where you can put the BT 3.0 lead right into it. This is what we want right here, man. This is the 2S crack. It's good crack. Come to the crack side. We have crackies and cookies. All right, turn that off. So there you go. I can't imagine that that's not super obvious. I don't know if we will ever... Well, okay, and so to round everything off, I spent a bunch of time... I flew my 30 batteries at the RC Drift Car place yesterday. In fairness, flying inside the house can be done with O4 Lite. Maybe a little bit more confidently, but not really. Like, so this is now absolutely as lightweight as you can build it. This is the little RC Drift Car chase rig. But this is like 0 up tilt, and the runtime sucks. Like, I'll run these batteries down in like 1 minute and 50 seconds. And so, like, even if you go absolutely as... And this isn't really all that crashable. Having, like, the camera all the way up front like this, you wouldn't want to crash this. So, like, realistically, like, this is the one that you already saw. This is the only real way to, like, fly indoor freestyle in a way that you can crash, you have some up tilt. This is only for this specific, like, use, where we need the 0 up tilt because I fly backwards a lot. Man, I'm flying like shit in this battery. Hold on. Let me play another battery. Jesus. That was rough. I had the... I've been playing around with miking the cars. I have this really cool little Bluetooth mic that hooks up to my phone. And so I've been putting the mic on the Lexan bodies of these, I think these are 1/10 scale, maybe a little smaller than that, but RC drift cars, and trying to pick up some of the audio. It's not been great. Because they have like ESCs in them that are humming. They've got fans in them, and then like they're on these plastic tires, and so it's just like it's not a great sound, but I'm kind of playing around. You can see the tiny little blue light on the license plate of this car. That's my mic. Actually, I think both of these cars are mic'd right now. Yeah, that's my one mic. I was hoping that the mic would pick up a little bit more of the tiny whoop sounds, but it really doesn't, because the cars are so loud that it gains itself down because of how loud the car is, and then you can barely hear the tiny whoop. I got stuck under him for a while. But yeah, O4 is not totally hopeless inside, but it's really rough. It's really, really, really rough. It's just too heavy. These HD systems are too heavy, and the latency is too much. It is not a super fun experience to fly them inside. You can absolutely do it, and if you're stubborn enough, you can probably get good at it. But at some point, you're going to fly an analog, a well set up analog rig inside the house, and you're going to go, what the hell have I been doing with my life? This is so much more fun, and this makes so much more sense, and you're not hurting your batteries with like less than 2 minutes of runtime. You're not breaking the things that you own because it's another, because adding O4 is 8 to 10 extra grams, which makes a huge difference when the whole thing only weighs like 17 or 18 grams, right? So yeah. there you go, my friends. I can't wait to use this frame on something analog. I'm actually super interested in that. I still think that we don't have the perfect motors for this, though. A 1.6 inch frame, 1.6 inch propeller frame pairs absolutely perfect with the GEP-RC 1002 25,000s. And so I think the problem with this 1.4 inch size is still going to be that there's not it would be an 802. We would need like a really high kV 802, like a 35,000 kV 802, or maybe even like a 40,000 kV 802. But we just don't have it. The 702s are a little bit too small. They get a little too hot. But yeah, one step at a time. You know, we've now finally got a 1.4 inch propeller frame that will hold a big enough battery for actual decent runtime. That's been what's handcuffed us with the previous 1.4 inch Meteor65 Pro frame, is that it would only run the 300 mAh batteries, which are just not enough. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this frame is like on analog with like 10 grams shaved off of it. Should help quite a bit, but I don't know if it'll outperform the 1.6 inch setups because I don't know of the perfect motor for this, but we'll see. You never know. You never do know. Ryan says, I'm running the O4 Narrow in the standard camera with the grommets, just with the O4 Narrow. Still heavier than the last gen Meteor65 Pro O4, but bigger batteries makes up for it. Apparently you can even get gyro flow to work on the 1.4 inch and 1.2 inch props easily on the lightweight Mobula 7 canopy. Since the RPM is so high, you just need to fiddle with the grommet orientation. You know, that's interesting. Let's fire up gyro flow and see what we got here. See how it does with some of this stuff. There it is. So yeah, let's see what it'll do with this guy. I'm just gonna pull the files straight off the VTX and into gyroflow, which is not ideal, but that's okay. We'll know pretty quickly because I use full throttle constantly. If gyroflow's freaking out or not. So let's just grab this outdoor file and let's give it a quick look. See how it does. Usually it loads up quicker when it's pulling from the hard drive, but that's okay. All right, and then let me set it to the original. Why is it doing that? Why is it leaving all that garbage? What? Hold on. Well, that's weird. It shouldn't be leaving all this shit around the outside. What are you doing? Is it because the lens correction's too low? I think it's because the lens correction's too low. I run the I run the gyroflow settings really, really low because I don't like what it. I don't like or want a ton of stabilization. I just want like a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's better. All right, let's see. We still got a little bit of shit in the corners, but let's take a look. So that was full throttle. Yeah, it's clean. That was full throttle. It would have gotten all kinds of upset in that moment there. Let's give it another second. That's another full throttle moment. Yeah. This O4 wide canopy that BetaFPV has made here is phenomenal. The way that the rubber grommets sit on there is just beautiful. And so everything I've put through gyroflow has been completely fine. The grommets are soft enough. They eat all the vibrations that they need to prevent the aliasing. So yeah, no surprise here. But I don't know, man. You don't really need gyro flow for this kind of stuff. If you have a bunch of prop wash, I guess, though, you know, if it's getting kicked around by the wind and shit, it might be nice to have it. So that's cool. As a comparison point, let's take a look at... Oh, I didn't need to do that. Let's take a look at some of the flight footage from these other two cameras, just to give you an idea of how good this new canopy really is. So here's the lightweight indoor build with the hard-mounted canopy. Again, I don't know why you would want to put this stuff through gyroflow. You're flying freestyle with these, but you do you, my friends. All right, and so this last one should be fine. Give this a second. And there we go. Let's go to original aspect ratio. Cool. Put that lens correction to 15 just to get, yeah, there it goes. Now it got everything out of the corners. All right, so let's see. Yep, I can already see it freaking out. Give it another second. Oh, boy. I especially don't like gyro flow on the O4 Light Narrow because of how narrow it is. Yeah, no, that's a mess. See that right there? That's not prop wash. That's not me doing it. That is bad gyro data that gyroflow does not know what to do with. Hopefully, between JamieFly'sFPV's software and or maybe an update to gyroflow, that'll get fixed. But yeah, there you go. That's why the BetaFPV canopy is so magic. And then we'll do the 2-inch build, which has the same hard mount canopy. This will probably be a complete disaster. Let's see. Come on. Pop up, you bastard. And there we go. For a split second there, I thought that I hadn't been sharing my screen this entire time. I was about to flip the table over and just quit forever. Right. Give this a second here. Dan and FPV says the first Meteor65 Pro was also pretty bad IMO. Yeah, but that one had their bad canopy, their bad VTX, which made it like really heavy. It was just that's like old school tiny whoop. I give that thing a pass because everything back then, all the bind and flies back then were pretty bad. All right, here we go. So here's the 2S rig. So yeah, there you go. Now, I will say this. BetaFPV's previous O4 Light Narrow canopy with this little soft-mounted sled here that the camera sat in, you could run the flight footage through gyroflow with this. And so I could absolutely take this 2S rig and swap this canopy out for this canopy and be able to run this flight footage through gyroflow. But why? Fly better. Tune better. Don't use gyroflow unless you absolutely have to. Like, if I were to take this out on some, like, cinematic adventure or something like that, and there was a bunch of wind and it was getting kicked around by the wind, okay, sure. That's not really what this is for. And, like, in that scenario, even with this hard mount canopy, if I run this flight footage through Jamie's software that she's working on, it actually stabilizes really nice. She actually just put up, with this exact rig, this was flown, I sent her a pretty much hopeless file, and she was able to basically bring it back. Why is Bot streaming now? Doesn't he? I thought he streams at 9 on Fridays. The whole point of me streaming 7 to 9 is to not stream on top of him. How long's he been streaming for? What? He's been streaming for an hour and a half. Okay, so he's streaming at 7 now on Fridays. Well, then I'm not going to stream at 7 on Fridays. Okay, I didn't realize that. Jamie flies FPV, I think is where it is. Yes. 9 days ago. Yeah. So this is flown with this exact rig, and this thing is getting crushed by the wind. Absolutely hammered. But her software gets everything other than the jello out. Like, look how smooth that is on the right side. And it's just a disaster on the left. There's still jello, which has nothing to do with any of this. Jello is because I wasn't running an ND filter. But, yeah. Her software absolutely crushed this, the flight footage out of this thing. I might not have been sharing my screen just now, which is probably a good thing. Because I would have got copyright ding-donged. But, yeah. So there are options, which is great. This canopy is amazing. But it mounts in a way that is very, very, very specific. So we have to just, like, cross our fingers and hope that BetaFPV thinks that they can make enough of these other canopies to actually pay for the cost of the mold, which is really expensive. And so, yeah, start asking them for a 2S 1.6-inch prop, 75mm motor-to-motor version of a Meteor frame that'll work with this sled, because this sled is absolutely brilliant. Ryan Sadat says, I don't think the 65 Pro is great for freestyle, but managed to tune it to a point that it's a nice fast cruiser because of the extra weight and can do a dive/flip here or there with zero prop wash. I wouldn't call it a fast cruiser because the props are so small. The bigger props are going to carry way more speed. But, you know, everybody's idea of fast is different. So it's, yeah, compared to like a 1.2-inch little 1S whoop, yeah, you could maybe call it fast because it's so heavy. Ryan also says, you try the 35mm S propellers when flying outdoors. No, I can't because they're only for 1mm motor shafts, and that's just a terrible idea. I think they could give you much more cruising speed. Yeah, biblades will do a lot of things better outside, but somebody's got to make a 1.5mm motor mount version because I ain't bending motor shafts after every 4 crashes. That's ridiculous. Ryan says also, you think it might be worth doing the Module 7 V4 trick to try running 2S in these frames where we cut the top of the battery struts off. Nah, there's no room. There's nowhere near enough room. And there's... And the... Yeah, no, that's not doable at all. We would have to cut the bottom of the struts off and then figure some weird rubber band situation, but that won't even work because the motor plugs are so close to the frame. Yeah, no, there's no way to do it. There's no way to do it without, like, getting seriously janky with it, which I won't do. I won't put $300 worth of quad up in the air with some jank-ass battery holding setup, waiting for the battery to fall off and lose the entire rig, right? That's one of the easiest ways to lose a rig is for the battery to rip off because then you can't turn your beeper on, you got no video, you got nothing. So yeah, that will not work. Yuke says, didn't BetaFPV make the 65X and 75X 2S whoops? What do you mean by X? What do you mean by X? Orkshire Opa says, yo, Mr. CiottiFPV, what do you think about a 1S 2-inch build? Maybe with 1202.5, 10,000 kV motors. I would hope it is sort of quiet Cinewhoop. I have spent the majority of this year building... Oh, you said 1S 2-inch builds. Yeah, there's 2, maybe 3 live streams on 1S 2-inch builds. The long and short of it is that it has less power and less runtime than a 2S build that's identical to it. It's like 1 gram lighter, so it's no safer. The flight characteristics are exactly the same. And so, like, why? Like, why do that? Is the main problem with it. if it's, you know, there are plenty of people who will do stuff just for the sake of doing it, and then at that point I'm okay with it. Unfortunately, a lot of times those people then go on the internet and say that it's the greatest thing ever, and then a bunch of people that don't know better build it and have a rig that flies like shit. I don't, like I said, I don't have a problem with it if you just want to like do that and then just, you know, fly it and just have something that doesn't fly as good as it could on 2S. But yeah, when you get bigger than 1.2 inch props, 2S is just better, period. If you want to try to force 1S to work, you can have something that flies, but it's not going to fly nearly as good for nearly as long as 2S. And so just why, right? Like why? Why would you do that? If you do it because you have 14 1S 450 mAh batteries that you don't want to sell, okay, maybe I get that. But sell those batteries and buy 2S batteries and have something that flies better. Like 2S is so much better. So much better. Like it's ridiculous. And you deserve to have something that flies better. Like it's so much better that like if you were to do like the best possible 1S 2-inch build and fly as good as you possibly could, fly like 10 batteries in a row, take your best battery and show it to somebody, and then you flew 10 batteries on the equivalent 2S setup, that person that you showed that flight footage to absolutely would be like, you are flying way better over here. Like the response time is way quicker. It just does everything better. Absolutely everything is better. And yeah, so unless you have a really, really, really compelling reason to do a 2-inch build on 1S, you're just hurting yourself. So don't do it. Frank Dr. Nula says, I think bot streams randomly, irregularly. What? We're not seeing the video. Oh, God. I wonder at 8:27 what video I thought I was showing you. Yuke says he normally does stream at 7. Spider starts at 9. Oh, okay, I see. Bot used to stream at 9. I guess he's doing 7 now. Bot used to stream at 9, and then I've always done 7. And then I guess around the time that Bot stopped live streaming, Spider started live streaming and took his time slot. And then so now Bot's taking my time slot. It's okay. Chef Bruno, I don't think there's much of a crossover between our audiences anyway. Maybe there is. I don't know. Chef Bruno says, hey, yo, what our lovely enter whatever asshat name here are retroactively banning DJI drones as what? What's happening? Sporny says, you saw the Axis flying Pocky 20? Is that a snack? Do we eat that? Is it lots of little straight sticks with sugar on them? Pocky 20? Axis Pocky 20. Did you spell that right? Boat Trader. Axis Flying, maybe? Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. County FPV says, is it possible to have a prop too pitchy to harm a motor? Absolutely. I put 1635 tri-blades on my 802 iGal motors, and I switched to less pitch because it sounded horrible. Well, so it sounded horrible because those 1635 propellers are out of balance. Those are a very old propeller, and the older Tiny Whoop propellers, almost all of the older Tiny Whoop propellers are horrendously out of balance. Switched to a bi-blade 1610, sounded the best, but I want tri. So the 1610 Gemfan propeller is much newer. So like the 1635 is like a 5 or 6 year old, maybe even longer than that. Old propeller, useless. The 1610 is like a 2 or 3 year old. Way to go, Axis. Is like a 2 or 3 year old propeller. It's one of the first Whoop propellers that was actually well balanced. And then every propeller since the 1610 has been much better balanced. If you want a 1.6 inch tri-blade, there are lots and lots of options that are well balanced. Over on CiottiFPV.com, I do have a affiliate link to weBLEED. It would be super cool if you used it, or even better if you all changed your bookmarks to weBLEED over to my affiliate link. That would be extra cool, because it is mind-blowingly difficult to do FPV as a full-time job, and it's starting to feel like my days are a little bit numbered here, but I'm doing my best. So this Gemfan 40mm 1614 is a good option. It's a little bit fragile, but it's really well balanced. These HQ Ultralight 45mm by 3s are beautifully well balanced. They're still a little bit fragile. I'm not gonna call them fragile, but I'm not gonna call them durable either. These are for 1.5mm motor shafts. There is a version of this prop here. No, there is another version of it somewhere here for 1mm motor shafts. I think the iGal motors are 1.5 though. These are going to be your two options. This Gemfan 1614 and these HQ Ultralights. Here's another one. HQ Ultralight 1.6 by 1 by 3. To be really honest, just buy all three of these. But buy like two sets of all three of these propellers. You're going to go through them. You're going to break all these props. There is also an HQ Ultralight bi-blade, but it's not as it's the Gemfan 1610 bi-blade is a better option. It's way more durable. So yeah, there you go. There's 3 different prop options that are all even better balanced than those Gemfan 1610s. Unfortunately, none of them are as durable as those Gemfan 1610s. It is a fairly common situation where we can't get it all. We either have props that fly really well but they're fragile, or fly pretty good but they're durable. Every once in a while we'll get it all, but very, very rarely. Is Axis's website working? Nope. The end of Sporty's comment is, looks like the most stupid thing I've ever seen. So I guess we don't have to look at the Pocky 20. I'll take your word for it, Sporty. You know what's up. Cole says, only reason to run 1S 2 to 3 inch is to run lithium ion and still keep the weight around 100 grams. I guess, and then do the shortest long range stuff ever, I guess. I don't know. Yuke says, I tagged you on Discord about the 65X and 75X. Oh, those. Yeah, those are shit, man. Those are old and awful. You don't want those. Yeah, BetaFPV tried 2S back in the days, but it was just too long ago. The motor selection is probably bad. Well, it's actually not. 802 14,000 motor's okay. What the hell frame is this? Oh, and they're doing the double. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is a 1.2 inch 2S rig, so this makes absolutely no sense. But a 75X might make sense. Oops, I'm searching for the wrong thing. Where's the 75X? It's gone. All right, well, their search isn't working all that well, but yeah, those are just back in the days where nothing really flew all that well, to be honest. Sporny says Cinewoop with an identity crisis. Chef Bruno says, FCC trying to ban commercial drones as weapons of war. DJI website, scroll down the news first article. Yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know, dude. There's nothing we can do about any of that shit. Let's just enjoy flying for as long as we can. And let's keep flying tiny little shit that we can fly inside of our houses, and the FCC and FAA can't say shit about. I guess the FCC might be able to, but they're not going to find you flying in your own house or care. Yuke says the Tiny Whoop long range stuff is just for the challenge. And what I was saying, can't we build something like that nowadays? Maybe if you can find those frames, I guess. But yeah, I'll bet you those frames are gone. Phil Bradley says, have you been watching any DARPA Lift Challenge? I have not. There have been some cool ideas. I'm going to at some point, but it's been pretty chaotic. Sage just moved into his first apartment last weekend, and then Florence just went back to high school Wednesday, and so this week has been a bit nuts, and there's a bunch of other shit going on as well. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to, but I'm sure there's some pretty cool shit going on there. All right, yo, let's fly a couple of... Son of a bitch. Got one battery charged. No, I've got two charged. Look at me go. We're going to fly a couple of good old-fashioned analog batteries. So compare all that flying from a little bit ago to what you're about to see. And you'll understand pretty quickly why analog is king. Teddy, you're real brave sitting back there, man. I don't know how many times I have to roll over you for you to not sit there. And I'm even going to fly a heavier analog build. This is the indestructible Whoop. It's like 18 point something grams, like low 18s. You can build analog rigs a lot lighter than this, but you can't build them as bomb-proof as this. This has 1.5 millimeter motor shafts, the new 1219S props with the 1.5 millimeter openings in them. Big beefy Cockroach V3 frame, big beefy canopy, Runcam Nano 3 camera, one of my custom O.R.T micro V antennas you can get from over my Etsy store. 0702 40,000 kV motors. This is built with durability at the top of the list, power next, and then I'm not like tacking stuff onto it to make it heavier for no reason, but yeah, keeping it lightweight was low down on the list of priorities. And so even a heavy analog rig flies this good. Hey, look at us go. Check this out. This t-shirt is available over on the Etsy store. For the love of God, somebody buy one of the small ones. Look at this guy. So, what we've got here... Oh, boy. What we've got here is low latency, low weight, wide angle. I'm stuck on the fan. Unbelievable. Oh my god! I cannot believe that it just turtle moded back over without falling off the blades. That's absolutely ridiculous. And there's a new obstacle in the living room. Oh god! No, don't go in the dog bowl, please. Thank you. Let's see. So, yeah. Like, this is proper flying. Like, I have to work hard when I'm doing big shit. But, like, if I just want to cruise around like what I was doing with the other ones, it's actually not all that difficult. Like, this is pretty chill. And this is, like, everything that I was able to do working really hard with the with the O4 rigs inside the house. Oh god. Still crash a lot, but again, I'm crashing doing like big shit or just sliding sideways like a donkey. Oh no. Don't make me stand up. I don't want to stand up. Teddy, hit it. Hit it, Teddy. Hit it. Yeah. Hit it. Oh, there's no way he'll hit it. It's falling behind the thing. Whoa! Take it easy, buddy. He came after us, man. Tried to eat us. Oh my god, look at that face. What's the deal with this face on this dog? Whoa! Oh. I think it just threw a propeller. No, it didn't. That was a weird crash. Yay! Oh, that was just sloppy. Whoopee! Oh man, I'm having a hard time with that hanging gate tonight for some reason. Woo! Come on. Come on now, don't do that to me. That's what happens when I get frustrated with turtle mode. 2 minutes and 40 seconds, absolutely jamming the entire time. Last battery, friends. This is a hashtag 6 battery live stream. If you don't fly 6 batteries today, you're going to get absolutely smashed in the face with a salmon the next time you go outside. It's going to be crazy. So fly your 6 batteries so that you don't get salmoned. Oh, I was trying to get a little sexy with that one. Woo, I'm off tonight. Uh-oh. I'm off tonight, so let me go for the most difficult power loop in here. Oh. Wowee, I can't fucking get it. What is happening? Oh my god! Don't kill me! That right there is an example of why you do disarm. If you don't disarm, it'll just keep bouncing around, and it'll just beat the living shit out of it. Just fucking disarm, and then rearm. Wow, yeah, I'm flying like absolute shit right now. Wow, every single thing I do. Wow, that's crazy. Promise I'm not normally this bad. These props are beat. Ooh, these props are real beat. So these are the 1219 Gemfan props. These are the best props that we have for a 1.5mm motor shaft. I don't love these propellers. I'm done. That's fine. That's a good place to end. I'm just gonna get more and more annoyed. Yeah, these propellers, they're not fragile like the HQ ultralights where the hub will blow up and you won't be able to take off. They just the propeller blades will get all bent out of shape, and then you get a bunch of vibrations and shit, which is what's happening to this. We can probably see one of these propeller blades being bent out of shape. Let's take a quick look. Hold on. That's even with that. That's even with that. It's almost always one of the front ones. That's even there. Huh. Maybe it's one of the back. Oh, yep, it's that one. No, it's not. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Huh. They don't look too bad. But yeah, the HQ ultralights, the blades themselves are much stronger. It's such a shame. Like, we got one prop that explodes completely, but the blades never bend or break. And we got another prop that never explodes, but the blades bend all over the place all the time. It's like, come on, please, can we meet in the middle somewhere, friends? But as always, I digress. There you guys go. Makes sense. I will be taking this apart. I do not want to fly this even one more time. I am going to use this frame, though, on an analog build, so we'll see. But yeah, this belongs in this. Absolutely 100%. But I am actually probably going to take this apart. I'm going to pull this flywoo wide out of here and put it in something bigger and faster. Because, for me, tiny whoops are slow enough that the O4 light narrow is completely fine. This Meteor, in this frame, is great fun, but it's not as fun as these 2S setups, and it doesn't warrant having this $160 or whatever it is, O4 wide be in this guy. I would rather put this O4 wide into like my frame or one of these open prop frames. It makes a lot more sense there, because they are just so much more capable outside. So yeah, this AIO is going to get dropped into this frame, and then it's just going to sit there and just kind of chill. Because yeah, I can't. I've been flying this quite a bit over the last week because BetaFPV sent it to me for the live stream review and all that, and it's been fun for sure. It's been fun, but it's not as fun as any of these 2S builds. Literally any of them. And so I'm gonna take. I have only one of these flywoo wides. I also have a DJI wide. But yeah, I'm not going to have this in a build that's not the most fun to fly. You know what I'm saying? But I've had a blast with this. I really, really, really have. And if they do a 2S build, if they do a 2S frame, I should say, I might do another DJI in here, because this canopy is really good, man. It's got the adjustable up tilt. It's got the shock absorption. Like, it's really, really, really good. But I'm not interested enough in it on 1S to tie up this camera in it. Hopefully that makes sense. Cole FPV says, can we meet in the middle? Cue music. Introducing the world's first FPV propeller that bends and explodes. Even better. Jimmy Sprinkles is in the house. What's up, dude? He says the O4 wide in the M25 is wow. M25. Yeah. Oh! I stole that from Mighty Car Mods. Go subscribe to them. They're the best automotive channel on the internet, and they're just a couple of amazing dudes that have donated shitloads of money to men's mental health organizations. I got a package today from Max from Max Frames. It's the Jimmy. Thank you so much for the reminder. I would have totally forgotten this. I put it on the floor in a spot that I wouldn't forget it, and I almost completely forgot it. This is the M25. I'm super excited to build this. This is going to get the GEP-RC 3S AIO that I just recently picked up. But I gotta be honest, I'm more excited about these. These are M2s, but with the carbon fiber rotated 45 degrees so that it goes the length of the arms. And we are going to get to do something right now that I've been meaning to do for years, but I've never been able to find a frame that exists in both carbon fiber going the right direction and carbon fiber going the wrong direction. Usually, like, a frame gets made and the carbon fibers go in the wrong direction and that's it. It never gets corrected. But yeah, for the first time ever that I've ever seen, we've got a frame where the directionality of the weave is correct, but then the sort of version 1. Let me say this. Here's what I'm going to say. On the M25 frame, the carbon fiber is going the right direction. On the version 1 of the Max M2 frames, in my opinion, and most others' opinion, the carbon fiber is not going in the right direction. It's going this way. It's not going diagonally the length of the arms. I don't know if... So all of the testing that Max did on the M2 frame was like this. The regular version with the carbon fiber going north, south, east, west. And this frame is durable with the weave going in this direction. And it flies fine. There's a little bit of a resonance in the black box logs, but it's not bad at all. This thing flies amazing, and it's durable, and it's great. I don't know if he's going to start cutting the frames like this. I specifically said to him, yo, can I buy a couple of these frames next time you have these cut? Can you have a couple of them cut? I'll pay extra, whatever it costs. If you have a carbon fiber frame cut and you don't specifically tell the people cutting it that you need them to orient the frame in a specific way, they cut carbon fiber frames on a big sheet. And so what they'll do is they'll put as many as they possibly can on the sheet. And for whatever reason, that always ends up with the carbon fiber going north, south, east, west versus diagonal. And so when you tell them to rotate the frames like this, they can never fit as many on that sheet. And so I specifically told him I will pay whatever extra it costs to have a couple of these cut in this way. So I don't know if he's going to start doing them like this. What I do know, though, is if I take this and I try to flex it, it's pretty damn strong. When I do the same thing with this one, which actually has the benefit of the top plate is tying this thing together a little bit. When I do that same thing on this, there is a lot more flex. I was telling you this as I haven't done it before with this, but I've had so many frames over the last decade that have carbon fiber in different directions that I just know that this is the case. This is what it looks like. This is the amount of flex that you almost always get when the carbon fiber is going north, south, east, west on a solid base plate frame. And then this is what happens when it's going diagonal, the length of the arms. It's hard for me to quantify that. My hands are moving when I'm flexing this, but like, it is absolutely night and day. I could maybe like put these down on the desk. Yeah, hold on. So we have time, right? Yeah, it just hit 9 o'clock. So if I put this down on the desk and I'm just gonna hang, helps if I pick the camera, eh? I'm just gonna hang the arm off like this. And then, what do I have that's heavy? Well, I'll just push down. This is very inexact, but like, yeah, so that's north, south, east, west. And then take the same arm, hang it off roughly the same. Like, this bends a little bit, but like, and like, I don't have any reason to lie about this. You know, I'm not like not pushing on this. I'm trying to push on these with the exact same amount of force. Here, we'll do it by, like how red my finger gets, right? And like how much this finger joint bends, right? Like, not much. And then, there you go. See how much, like, you can tell how hard I'm pushing by how much my finger's bending? That's the deal. And so I am very, very, very excited about these. I think that this is it. This is the frame. If you want outdoor, fast, open prop, 2S, carry an O4, the only thing about the M2 frame is that you can't put an O4 wide into this because the front standoffs aren't wide enough. And I would actually love to do, and I messaged Max about this when he was in Portland, and so I think he might have missed it, but I messaged him, I said, hey man, I would love to do like a CiottiFPV signature or some shit, whatever, special edition of this frame with the carbon fiber going the length of the arms and with the front modified to hold the O4 light wide, because that would be the perfect exactly what I'm looking for. The sub 250G frames come very close, but they don't have the quad motor mounting and they don't have as good motor protection as this frame does. And so this Max M2 here with a little bit of massaging of the front standoffs would be it. These 2.5-inch frames have been very fun. I've been having fun messing around with the sub 250G ones. I have 2 of those, and then I've got the Caillou Mini. Nyafu even sent me this C110, I think, which I haven't had a chance to build yet, but and so yeah, these 2.5-inch frames, I dig them. They're very cool, but for me personally, the propellers are a little bit too big for the all-up weight that they end up being. To have something super lightweight, super small, super quiet, super pocketable, the 2-inch prop size is where I'm at. I really like it. We can get plenty of power. We can get plenty of efficiency. And like a lot of times, if you can get enough power and efficiency, there's no real reason to go bigger. Like, we go bigger in propellers so that we can get one of those two things, more power or more efficiency. I guess you could argue that you want to carry a heavier payload, but these 2-inch builds carry the payload of the O4 lights absolutely fine. And so personally, I don't want to go up to 2.5. I'm gonna build this M2. I'm gonna keep the Caillou Mini together. Doing 3S on these has been really, really a game changer. The Caillou Mini, when it went to 3S, a lot of the things that I was getting annoyed with on these 2.5s kind of went away. But the 2-inch setups on 2S fly every bit as good as these 2.5-inch setups on 3S. And so, like, why? If the O4 light was heavier, if it was like a 20-gram payload, fuck yeah, 2.5-inch would be the right perfect setup. 3S, away we go. But it's not. It's really lightweight. Even the O4 wide is still fairly lightweight. My goal with these open prop rigs is to have the smallest thing that I can bring everywhere and anywhere. And it's a toy. It's quiet. It's as light as possible. It's as small as possible, both so that I can put it in my pocket, but also so that it's a smaller parachute, basically. The smaller these things are, the less wind is going to hit them, right? If it's physically bigger, literally more wind is going to hit it. Jimmy the Cow, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. He says, moo. But yeah, I want to keep these as small as I possibly can, but without sacrificing flight characteristics. And again, that's another reason that we go bigger. If you can't get enough power, you can't get enough efficiency, you can't get enough response time out of the smaller sized stuff, absolutely go bigger. But I've found a couple of different motors, a couple of different propellers, a couple of different combos that on these 2-inch builds, it's got it all. It's got the runtime, it's got the power, it's got the flight characteristics, it's got the response time, it's got everything that I want. And so until the payload gets heavier, I'm more interested in the 2-inch stuff. But at the moment, there's not a way of flying the O4 wide on 2-inch with 4-bolt motors. We're halfway there. The Bando Turtle. Shit, screw just fell. The Bando Turtle 2-inch from sub 250 GFPV, you can put the wides on. The mounting, the front camera cage mounting is the same, and so there's already files for the bigger camera. We don't have that quite yet for the M2, again, because the front standoffs are a little too close together. I'm sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's what I really want. But this is a massive step in the right direction. These 2-inch builds are great with the O4 light narrow. Until you start adding a bunch more up tilt. But like, to be honest, I don't need to fly that fast. And so I'll be perfectly happy with one of these with the 4-bolt motors, 1202.5s for that nice durability, with the O4 narrow. So yeah, this is super exciting. I cannot wait to get this built out. And again, I am also going to do the M2.5, but I'm doing this first. I've been waiting for this for a month or two now, and I'm super happy it's here. Shout out to Max MAXX Frames over on Instagram. I think there's an underscore in there. I believe it's MAXX_frames. If you just search Instagram, you'll find them. Yeah, love these frames. Absolutely love these frames. The sub 250G frames are great. I love that you can get them in like colored carbon. There's some really fun stuff with those, but no 4 motor mounting, 4-bolt motor mounting, which sucks because then you can't run 1202.5s, which are way more durable. And like the 3D prints are really good for this. The geometry is really good. The top plate has these extra little wings here that'll potentially protect if you get like a perfectly wrong branch down the side that smashes into your electronics. It could hurt the electronics. Yeah, Max's frames are great. FPV says that new canopy fits the O4 Light Narrow too, with the piece that comes with the Narrow. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, that makes sense because it puts the the little clip that comes with the Narrow. Yeah, so you could run the. That's what Ryan was saying, right? Ryan was saying that he runs the Narrow in here. That's cool. I would probably go this route if I was going to do that because it's lighter and smaller. But the soft mounting absolutely does work on this guy. But that's cool. That's very smart that that it can also run with the Narrow. Jimmy Sprinkle says I refuse to say what LFG is. Chef Bruno says, I think I want to try inside of the wires to the windings on an 0802. Good luck. It's apparently tough to do. I've refused to do it. DeGhoul says, what's a good motor for the Max Frames M2 that isn't going to destroy a 2S 450 mAh battery running Gemfan 2023? Any of the 1202.5 10-ish thousand kV motors. 10 to 11,000 kV motors are going to be what you want. Let me just double check. Yep. Yeah, 10 to 11,000. You could even get away with like an 8,000 kV motor. That'll still make pretty good power, but the 10,000s are where you want to be. 10 or 11,000, and then just motor limit them down if they're hitting that battery too hard. the 12mm wide motors have a much thicker motor shaft down below the bell, and they are way more durable. If you can ever run a 12 anything motor instead of an 11 or a 10, always do it. Cole FPV says, you have lots of time. 9 p.m. is your new slot now. Yeah, right. Cole also says, is that why they were passing out M2 frames at the barbecue? I didn't know, so I didn't get one, but I have a bunch of frames from 1.6 to 4 inches, so I don't really need it. I hadn't heard about that, but maybe. Maybe. Jimmy the Cow says, moo. David Ciotti says, matching Monday. I mentioned it a minute ago. I'll mention it again. The Mondays after the giveaway Mondays, so basically the second Monday of every month, is going to become matching Monday. My dad has offered to match any super chats that come through on matching Monday. So yeah, if you want to continue to try to help me doing this full time, that's going to be a great thing for you to do. It's coming up this Monday. Frank Dr. Nicholas says, there we go. LFG in gaming is looking for a group. Perfect. Years of World of Warcraft, even early beta testing. I love it. Yukon FPV says, with the last comment of the live stream, he says, I like that. Can get the turtle frames without having to get on Instagram. Fair enough. Yeah, the turtle frames are great. Fly High FPV, what's up, brother? He says, also stay tuned on Sunday. We're going to release the sign up for the even bigger, nastier freestyle contest at Castle Crash. Signups begin on Sunday. 20 spots and 4 backups. Win a quad plus loot. I kind of want to like compete, but not really. Like, I don't think I would win anyway. But I do want to fly in that, just kind of like for funsies. I did last year, like halfway through it, I was like, hey, can I throw a battery up? And like, yeah. And then I just crashed into the grass and couldn't take off because it was the 3.5-inch rig. But yeah, I don't want to like compete, but it would be fun to throw a battery up in the air, especially seeing that there's only 20 spots and 4 backups. I don't want to take one of those spots. That feels awful. But yeah, I really want to fly during the bigger, nastier freestyle contest. So there you go. There's a reason for you all to come to Castle Crash. You should all come to Castle Crash. It is so fucking fun. It is one of, if not the best FPV event of the year. No offense to Jimmy Sprinkles. He just put on a fucking amazing event in Portland, Oregon. I'm so goddamn jealous. Fly High FPV with the last comment of the live stream. He says, bring it. I'd love to see you sign up. All you got to do is fly 2 batteries, 2 90-second runs. If you don't fly it, I'm going to ask you to be a judge. Yeah, Kevin asked me earlier today or yesterday. I forget when it was. I kind of don't want to be a judge. I don't know. It feels weird. I don't know. I guess I will. If you really want me to, I guess I will. I don't know. I don't like what people consider freestyle nowadays. Like, and yeah, I mean, if somebody's going to come and just bang the sticks into the plastic for 90 seconds, I'm going to give it a 0 because that's just bad. I obviously won't do that, but like, yeah, I don't know. I have a very specific taste in flying, and it is not the norm. Like, most people are not as grumpy and old as me when it comes to freestyle. But like, look, I've been watching fucking freestyle footage for over a decade, and like, there's nothing that you can do that I haven't seen. And like, cranking your rotational rate to the fucking moon and spending all of your time with the sticks into the plastic, it doesn't impress me at all. Like, does it take skill? Sure. But believe it or not, what takes even more skill is barely moving the sticks at all. And so, like, I don't know if I'll be a very good judge. I would probably not be the only judge, though, and so maybe my, different approach to what constitutes as really talented freestyle would be offset perfectly. I don't know, but yeah, there you go. Chef Bruno says they have a new game too. LOL. Who does? What's the game? Thanks for hanging, friends. And also, if you do a bunch of trippy spins, I'm gonna throw up, and then I'm gonna give you a 0 as well. Bad judge, I'm telling you. I'm a bad judge. That's why I don't want to. Fly High says 5 judges who get to talk amongst themselves. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm thinking about it. Be good, friends. David Ciotti with the last Super Chat live stream. $9.99. He says Castle Crash fun. Thank you so much, Dad. Chef Runa says, but you could be a good point for cinematic freestyle. Yeah, fair enough. Be good, friends. I'll see you again on Sunday at 3 o'clock. CiottiFPV.com to support me. It's so difficult to do FPV as a full-time thing. I've had a hell of a run. I would love to keep doing it, but as the economy gets grenaded by lunatics, everybody's got less money, and I get it. You know, the people doing cool shit that is not essential to you eating or feeding your eating and feeding is the same thing. Eating or clothing or you know, keeping a roof over your family's heads is gonna have to go. But yeah, if you have a couple bucks, it makes a huge difference when a bunch of you do it. So head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Lots of ways you can support me. Patreon's the best. Buy some stuff from my Etsy store. Change your bookmarks to the affiliate links that I have there, because you have to hit affiliate links over and over and over again. I got a Teespring store if you want to get some cool clothing. I'm probably missing some stuff, but that's okay. See you guys Sunday. Be good. Here comes some chasing little RC drift cars around. Nah, I'll save that for Sunday's stream. Sunday we're going to play through that flight footage. Here's a little bit more of the 65 millimeter, the Meteor 65 Pro 2, V2, O4, Light, DJI, Flywoo, wide. Where's that outside battery? Let's play that outdoor battery. Where's it at? Here it is. Be good, friends. See you Sunday. I hope you have an excellent weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed. They zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah. Shotty's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle mic. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive. Teddy push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in. Teddy, yeah. Let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind. Teddy, yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, diamond at duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy Spaghetti. Barking at the breeze. Teddy's mission's just begun. FPV's fur-faced legends, legends sing it loud. Yeah, Teddy Spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.